There, I'm Karen Marie. This is Psyched Up for Sunday, April 26, 2020. Tonight, I have been guided to talk about the current transits and some upcoming transits. So I've been doing a lot of note taking over the last few days. Let me just show you some of my preparation notes. And this isn't even all of it. So I've got this little note thing, this where I was trying to make a timeline. So this is the next month. I mean, it's kind of gnarly, I have to say. These are notes. Did I show you this already? This. And then I've gone through my date book with other dates. So I've been like chewing on this stuff to try to channel for you tonight the most important things that you need to know for right now. Okay, so today, let's start with today. We had the sun conjunct Uranus. So the sun's moving through Taurus. Uranus is in Taurus. So what that means is they're both at the same degree. Right? So today that was 6 degrees. So, and I'm recording this just after 10 p.m. in Austin, Texas, Central Time. So, I'm going to refer to this because I want to make sure I cover major things, but there's so much. I can't get to all of it tonight, so I don't want your eyes to cross, but it might be good to grab a calendar because I'm going to be throwing out some dates and such. So, I have a lot of my clients have been asking me about when this lockdown's going to end. Do I have any indication? Do I have any kind of psychic hits about that? So that's part of what this timeline that I created was like looking at the entire year. So long story short is like, it looks like we're under these conditions that we're dealing with now all year long. All right. So Pluto, well, let's just start with Pluto. That's gone retrograde today. It's gone retrograde. It just bumped up to 25 degrees Capricorn. Now, it's been at 24 degrees. So anytime any planet switches to a new degree, it's sort of a new theme. 25, 2 plus 5 is a 7. It's a spiritual theme. It's a psychic theme. Pluto is empowerment. It's death and transformation. It's protesting. It's going to be war. It may be have demoted as a planet, but it changes things. It's a power player. All right. So it's gone retrograde today. It's going backwards. So here's a benefit, even though people get freaked out about retrogrades. Retrogrades in any planet is an opportunity for you to go within, to review something, to go back to look within. All right. So when Pluto, which is affecting all of us, is going retro, it's like a drill. It drills down through past lives. It brings up the deep, gnarly stuff you've been avoiding for lifetimes to be brought up to globally, collectively. Pluto is trying to raise our game, right? Okay, so it's gone retrograde today. Today's April 26th. In the middle of July, it goes back over the conjunction point that it was with Saturn in January. You know, when we first started hearing about the corona, when we first started we impeached a president in January. Like, we had some really intensive astrology in January. Anybody remember January? So we're going to have a revisit of this as Pluto goes back. Now, it won't get to that point until the middle of July. It finally stops to start going direct October 5th. Which is going to be a super intensive date. Just like today was super intensive. It was also super intensive week because we had the sun conjunct Uranus and Mercury square Jupiter all going on today. Like, pfft. Okay, I felt it. I don't know anybody else out there. So Mercury, okay, so Mercury's communication, Jupiter expands things. Squares are kind of like, whoop. So Mercury square Jupiter, but you may have had something come out of your mouth that you just said it today. Or Sun conjunct Uranus. Uranus is sudden, unexpected things. It's in Taurus, which likes it stable. And so Sun is illuminating the factors of Uranus today, these sudden, unexpected things that shake things up. They come out of nowhere. Unexpected is unexpected. Uranus has a spiritual planet, though. If it knocks something down, if it tears something up, it will replace it eventually with something better. So anything that's gotten knocked down or got stirred up because of Uranus is actually a gift in disguise. So keep that in mind. But you may have had stuff blurred out of your mouth today. Somebody else may have had stuff blurred out of their mouths. So we had like Pluto station to go retrograde today, Sun conjunct Uranus, Mercury square Jupiter, all kind of in the same 24 hours. Super intensive. Okay. Okay, the 25-degree point. I want to finish that. So as Pluto goes direct in October, it doesn't come back to this 25-degree point that it just bumped up to until the end of January. So the lessons that Pluto has been teaching us and helping us to break through things, it's already dispensed the lessons. Now it's review time. It's kind of like we're in school. Okay, now we're going to go back and review. We're going to have a final exam, but it's a long review. This review from Pluto takes all year long to go back over what is already shaken up, already tried to transform. Like if it's been trying to stir up something within you to shift or change, a habit, a relationship, a job, la la la, fill in the blank, and you didn't make the changes, as Pluto goes back over this, chances are it's going to force you to make those changes you didn't make before. And especially when it stops and then it's going to come back over it again. So it's like back and forth over these same issues. But it's a slow mover, Pluto. So it's not like I said, it's the end of January till it gets back up to the point it is today. And then it starts moving forward to teach us new lessons. So there are no new lessons from Pluto for the rest of this entire year. So that tells me something, right? Does it tell you something? Okay. All right. Venus, which is the planet of relationships, what we put our energy into, what we love, what we're passionate about, right? As it goes retrograde, so it started doing its shadow period April 10th. For the last couple of weeks, it's already been it's a preview of coming attractions. So whatever has gone on in the last 2 weeks, think about what's come up in your relationships in the last 2 weeks in terms of where you're putting your energies and are you putting them into the things you've loved? How are you treating your own body and yourself? Are you been loving and nurturing with yourself? As Venus starts to go retrograde, how's your relationships? It's going to go back and revisit that stuff. So relationships that are already kind of wonky, I'm so sorry. It's going to be even more intensive coming up. So here's a timeline for Venus retrograde. All right. Started going into the shadow April 10th. Preview of coming attractions is what it's been showing us. All right. Then where's my timeline for Venus? I got to find my notes here. Okay. Here we go. All right. On the 12th of May is when it actually goes retrograde. It's going retrograde in Gemini. All right. Even before the 12th of May, on the 7th of May, we have a full moon, super full moon in Scorpio. All right. What is Scorpio? The secret keeper. It's the deep, dark waters. We have a full moon. It illuminates secrets. It illuminates the deep, dark waters, right? So this is a big thing that's going up here at the first part of May. I'm going to back up a little bit more than that. May 5th, we have a nodal axis shift. This is also a major energy shift. We've been in the nodal axis of the North Node in Cancer and the South Node in Capricorn for the last year and a half. These are the lessons of the divine feminine versus the male patriarchy and balancing that out. And so the South Node is where the karma, collective karma is. So we've been experiencing and seeing the karma that we've been putting, Capricorn energy, Pluto, Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, they've all been transiting this Capricorn energy. The Capricorn is the earth. It's the earth that's been around forever. It's the male patriarchal, the good old boys network. It's the stuff that's been around for centuries, So Saturn's been in there. So Saturn and Pluto in there together. Pluto's like, we're changing this up now. So the North Node's been going, nurturing, self-care, listen to the divine feminine, listen to your intuition. This is for everyone. So these are the lessons it's been going through. It's at 0 degrees Cancer right now as I'm speaking. So we're doing the wrap up of, are you doing your self-care? Did you learn your lessons of listening to your intuition? This is the wrap up here right now, okay? So this point, 0 degrees Cancer, is where we'll have a solar eclipse in June 21st. I'm giving you a little bit of way far ahead. But so if there's a theme today around all this stuff that's going on, Most likely you're going to revisit this, so we'll all revisit this on a global scale in June around the solar eclipse. So the full moon on the 7th is a huge thing coming up. We have the nodal shift into Gemini and Sag. So the North Node's going to be in Gemini now. It's really going to feel like a breath of fresh air on one level in this. This is some good news story because Gemini is an air sign. Cancer has been like a water sign, and it's like crashing waves and it's churning up deep emotions. And so when it switches to Gemini and air, it rules the head. It's the twins, right? So there's positive and negatives of the Gemini. On the positive end is creativity, inspiration, innovation. It's a breath. It's quick thinking. It's making things happen fast. On the downside, it's the Jekyll-Hyde dynamic, the duplicity, like, again, secret keeping and saying one thing and doing another. And I mean, if anybody knows a Gemini, you probably experienced this dynamic of you don't know who you're getting. Are you getting the Jekyll or are you getting Hyde? And so with Venus retrograde in Gemini, we're going to have a lot of secret stuff. We have this full moon in Scorpio. So we have this super intensity time. Like, I feel like there's going to be some deep secrets revealed in May on a global scale, on a national scale, in your personal life. Hopefully you can see some stuff within yourself. It's not just like, oh, getting exposed, but it's actually helpful things that you need to see as well can come up during these things. It's an illumination. So the nodal shift into Gemini. So this will be for the next year and a half, these new innovations. So new things showing up on the horizon. The North Node is where we're putting our energies, where our focus is collectively. So so another downside is ruled by the head. So people have a tendency to be up in their heads and think. All right. So thinking is great. New innovations, new ideas. But if you're the lessons that we just learned were to listen to the intuition. It's the guide. It's the way. If you forget that, you can end up spinning and and Gemini is also communication. So we may have all kinds of innovations in our communications in the next year and a half. It's also our siblings. It's friends, writing, these kind of things, Gemini. So these kind of things can all be enhanced and highlighted with the nodal shift into this, and then also the Venus going retrograde in Gemini. So retrogrades so Venus is Venusian, right? It's love, it's beauty, it's those kind of things. And so the dark side could be like the underworld of sex trading and stuff like that. And so with all this, like Scorpio and Gemini duplicity and Venus going retrograde, I would really expect some sort of like even sexual, like pederast stuff to be exposed, or like even people being able to clear and bring up their own childhood sexual abuse. This is a perfect time for healing that. If you've been personally affected, this is like lift it up. Perfect time to clear that. But unfortunately, it'll be a time for other people who are still in that realm to be acting out big time in the, full moons, lunatics. There's a reason where that name came from. Okay. Also, Uranus, May 4th, goes into 7 degrees. Okay. So Uranus has been shaking up the earth for almost 2 years now since it's been in Taurus. The sun is conjunct Uranus today. Okay, so this was about asking us to shake up our values. What do we value about ourselves? That was the 6. And then it's bumping up into 7, which is spirituality. So we've got the 7 where Pluto stops and turns around, and now Uranus is shipping up to 7. It will also turn retrograde and come back down. So both of these slow-moving planets are moving to a 7 point, which is like a spiritual revelation point, and then back. The good news is they'll come back to this point after the review. Okay, so the Venus is reviewing where have you put your energies? Where's your love? How's your relationships? Are you doing what you love? Are you doing what you're passionate about? So let's see. Venus timeline. 12th of May is when it goes retrograde. There is like this sweet spot where it's trying trining Uranus at the end of June, almost before it goes direct. And so there could be like a really sweet, even in the middle of the retrograde, it could be like a really lovely energy. And when the full moon is in the Venus retrograde, there could be some really important realizations and revelations that are important about this whole Venus retrograde. So like when Venus goes retrograde, there's a theme. So again, when it's in pre-shadow, it gives you, here's what the theme of Venus retrograde is going to be. When it clicks into retrograde, so May 12th and around, like any dates are kind of give or takes. Like sometimes you'll feel influences before they hit or right after. So it's like kind of like, general ballpark. I usually feel things before. I'm like sort of always feeling a little bit ahead of time what's coming down. So the 12th, pay attention in and around May 12th, 11th, 12th, 13th. What is revealed to you about your relationships? What is revealed to you about self-love, self-care? What's revealed to you about where you've been putting your energies, your attention, what you love? Are you doing what you love? Do you have someone in your life that you really love? Are you settling in some way? If you've been settling, you will be seeing so clearly during this like if you're questioning, no worries. You will be able to see clearly by the end of this transit what to do in your relationships. All right. So it goes direct June 25th. It doesn't come out of its shadow period until July 29th. So this is a long period. It's kind of like goes like this. So here's the coming attractions. Then we have the intensity from the first day it goes retrograde of like, okay, here's what you're going to be reviewing. Here's what you're going to be working out. It's not a time to move forward in starting something new unless it's a review. It's any kind of retrograde. You can often have a revisit, especially Venus retrograde in particular. Mercury retrograde does this as well. We'll have someone from your past show up in a Venus retrograde, or even before it. Like I've had 2 people that I haven't seen in years show up, reach out to me in the last couple of weeks. So past loves show up. Past life loves can show up. I've also met someone new in the last 2 weeks where I know I've had a past life connection that's just kind of come out of the woodwork. Sudden, unexpected things just showing up. Okay. With Venus in Gemini, you really need to watch the people around you. Like, people are going to not be able to understand if they're hearing truth or falsity, right? Because of like all the secrets are being veiled, and you'll be going, is that right? Like, I don't know. So like really tap in and trust your intuition. Like retrogrades are the best time to be chanting, doing your spiritual practices, writing your journals, just like digging to get, but it's not a time to move forward in your life. It's not time to make new plans and stuff like that. So again, when people are asking me about timing of when we're going to get out of this, I'm like, I'm looking at how many planets going retrograde? Pluto, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, and then we have a bunch of retrograde going on here. We're not going to be moving forward out of this into something new. We're going to be revisiting what we've already been doing. That's the bad news. That's kind of what I see. Saturn, as it goes retrograde, Saturn's our structures. It goes retrograde May 11th. So again, look what happens around May 11th. Where are you seeing structural changes in your life? How you own set boundaries with your life? Like it's going to be brought to a head. Where do you need to change up things in your life? It had tipped into 1 degrees Aquarius. When it went into, it was hanging out in Capricorn when it was conjunct Pluto back in January. When it went into 0 degrees Aquarius, this is when we're passing the coronavirus legislation. We're through, like, Aquarius is humanity, everyone. Mars is in Aquarius right now. So we're taking action to benefit all right now. They passed legislation to benefit all when Saturn, the rule maker, is in Aquarius. Okay, so it's at 1 degrees. It's going to go retrograde. In the 2nd of July, it's going to be back to the point where it was conjunct Capricorn in January. Again, a revisit of themes. Saturn goes direct in September 29th at 25 degrees Capricorn. So, again, a 7 point. 2 plus 5 is a 7. These are spiritual lessons we're supposed to be learning here. All the planets are saying it. Then it starts going direct then. So we'll feel a forward shift at the end of September with the Saturn stuff, a liftoff. It doesn't go back into Aquarius again December 18th. And then it doesn't go back, step into a new sign like 2 degrees until December 29th. So again, Saturn, the rule maker, the structures, it's reviewing what's already been laid down, going back to, wait, we didn't restructure that the way we should have. Let's go back and do that right. And then, okay. And then at the end of December, Saturn steps into a new degree, 2 degrees, which is a brand new Saturn lesson. Again, not until the end of the year is something new moving forward in these outer planets. Jupiter goes retrograde May 15th at 27 degrees. It's going to be conjunct Pluto in June. Jupiter expands things. Pluto's transforming things. Again, more secrets revealed. Intensive times in June. It recreates. It's at the Saturn-Pluto point on July 2nd. So it's conjunct Saturn. And so that, again, July 2nd, around the 4th of July, it sounds like there could be some super intensive stuff that's sort of shades of what happened in January. And it goes direct September 13th. It's not until December 6th that it gets back to the point where it starts going retrograde and it doesn't step into a new degree. Oh, it goes into Aquarius in December 20th. So it starts a new lesson at the end of... So again, these outer moving planets are signaling that the end of December. Pluto's is at the end of January. So this is when things start to shift in a major way and the major themes start shifting and begin to do a different theme. The themes that have been going down are going to be continuing to go down the rest of the year is what all these retrogrades are saying. And they don't have to be scary. Oh, here's a differential. If you're someone who's spiritual and you like to dig and you like to look at what your stuff is and you want to see what your obstacles are so you can bring them up and heal them and bring them to the light so you can do your karmic work and clear out your baggage from many, many lifetimes, then hallelujah, this is a fabulous time. If you're someone who doesn't like to look at yourself, you don't like to look at stuff within yourself, you're pretty much effed right now because you have no choices but to look inside yourself because everything's going to be on lockdown. I don't feel like we're going to have major shifts in this energy until next year, really, truthfully. Like a lot of this energy is still continuing. There may be kind of bits and spurts of other stuff. Like when Venus, for example, when it goes direct in June, at June 25th is when it digress. Okay, so here's an example. Like Venus starts to be pulled back. We start to see what the themes are going to be of going back within in the Genius thing. It pulls it all the way back into some issues we have with love life, with where we're putting our love, our passions, how we're taking care of ourselves. Pulls it all back. When it starts going forward, it's like, it shoots forward. So there's a breakthroughs are happening around the end of June with it moving forward. Now, it doesn't come back to its pre-shadow part until the end of July, so that it doesn't fully wrap up its themes of what are we learning till the end of July. So it's through with its story sort of at the end of July. The Venus retrograde story is a shorter, but still, here we are at the end of April. May, June, July. We got 3 months of this Venus retro, whatever it's teaching us. The last 2 weeks are an indication of what the lessons are going to be. And if they've been intense, I'm sorry to tell you, going to get even more intensive. Again, grab your oxygen mask, which is what? Spiritual practices. Up your games right now. The other reason to up your game spiritually is spiritual practices of any kind. Anything that centers you and locks you in yourself. You can breathe deeply. You can feel a part of a greater other. Get out of your head. Get out of your emotional body. Rise in consciousness to sort of observe your mind. Observe yourself. you can get above the collective panic and drumbeat of paralyzing fear that's going on in the planet right now. If you're not doing some sort of practice to rise yourself up out of it, you are getting sucked into the collective of fear. And even if you're not someone who's usually prone to anxiety, depression, you may be feeling it now. And here's another weird thing in this. People who are often naturally anxiety prone, depression prone, a lot of times that's because you're empathic and you're soaking in, you're a sponge. It's just soaking in everybody's stuff all the time. With everybody in their homes and not having to interact with as many people, and the frenetic energy has really calmed down overall. People getting in their cars and all that frenetic energy is super lower. So a lot of people are like, oh, I can actually breathe deeper right now. It's a positive, right? So it's all what's going on the inside. If you're like, it's like this can be looked at, the coronavirus can be looked at like a tsunami wave, right? Coming, you like, oh, it's coming. Okay, well, if you're a surfer and you see a wave coming, what do? You grab your surfboard and you go out to try to get on top of it. And you're going to have the best ride of your life. If you don't, if you get caught in the undertow, you're effed really badly. So that's kind of the choices in here. If you don't get a surfboard, and in this analogy, a surfboard is a spiritual tool to pull yourself where you can ride this wave and enjoy this, enjoy the beauty of the things that this lockdown is creating for us, time with our families, time for the planet to heal. There's a lot of really beautiful things going on while everything's forced to be on lockdown and shut down. Okay, revisit of all this stuff though is what's happening this year. And so duplicity, secrets, fuzzy thinking. In the middle of the Venus retrograde, it's going to be square Neptune. Neptune is the planet, and Neptune's in Pisces. So Neptune in Pisces, Neptune, I like it's the psychic planet. On a positive side, we can be the psychic radar. It's where we get spiritual downloads, psychic channelings. Like it can be like feeling someone intuitively. When it's in Pisces, a watery spiritual sign, it's like, ooh, if you're tapping in spiritually, psychically, lovely. Like if you love to swim, water's fabulous. If you can't swim, not cool. On the downside, like every planet has a positive and negative swing, right? Like all of us, we have the dark and the light within us. So the dark side of this is... Okay, I'm just looking at my chart. There's a whole lot of dark sides in this. So the need to grab a spiritual tool and raise your game is just like, I don't want to go too much about that because I want to get back to talking about the planets. But it's possible to have the most enjoyable ride and to have some great breakthroughs or have someone really fabulous from a past life come in or go back to revisit some things that were left unfinished. So if you have unfinished business in your relationships, you will be having that stuff come up in your face over the next 3 months. I promise. If you look at it as a positive, here's the universe mirroring what I need to see in myself. It's a good thing. If you're one of those people that's in denial about your issues, like some people we know, deny, you're going to end up looking cray-cray in this situation because everyone is forced to look at their stuff right now. There's no choices but to look at your stuff. And if you take it and go spiritual or you take it and go creatively, nodes in Gemini, like get creative, get inventive. Like you'll be able to rise above this. You can come up with something creative and new that'll like help everybody out in all this. It'll be the planning stuff. You won't be able to launch it till after all this is over. So again, there's a launch period when Venus goes direct at the end of June. July is gnarly too. Like I don't want to get too far ahead of the game because I can talk about that stuff as it gets closer. So let's see. Let's bring it back down to what else I see happening in May. So here's an example of how shifting and changing May is. So just to start off April here, the cast of characters. We've got the Sun in Taurus. Conjunct Uranus today, like I said. So the Sun in Taurus has us all looking about how we value ourselves. As the Sun traipses through Taurus, how are we treating ourselves with value? Do other people value us? What do we value? These are the themes of Taurus as the Sun transits Taurus. The Moon It crossed Venus today in Gemini. Gemini is the twins. Talky. People could have been extra talkative today. And again, with those charge of the bigger planets I said earlier was going on, like again, stuff could just blurt out the mouth. And when the moon crossed Venus today, so when the moon crosses, it's like sort of a kiss, a sweet spot. It also can kind of reveal a positive in this Venus retrograde. So you may have gotten a hint about what's positive about this Venus retrograde today, or sometime yesterday or tomorrow, kind of thing. Like again, it doesn't always have to be exact. We've got Mercury in Aries. It's at 27. It's like hot, happy, talking, happy talk. Aries can initiate conversations, can talk about lots of things. We've been discussing lots of things in our nation, right, over this transit when Mercury's been in Aries. It's going to move into Taurus tomorrow. So it's going to be joining the party in Taurus. So then Mercury, the planet of communication, instead of being talking fast, Aries. I'm a triple Aries. My Mercury's in Aries, so I have a tendency to talk fast. I have to remind myself to slow down. So everybody's kind of revved up in that way recently. So when Mercury's in Taurus, when it moves into that tomorrow, we can kind of slow down, take our time, think through what we're saying more. Again, we got planet of Pluto kind of sitting on us going, ooh, okay. So that's making us go, whoa, rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. It goes into Gemini in May. Again, it's in the party hoedown with Venus. So people are going to be talking about all kinds of cray stuff. You may not know what the truth and what's fiction in terms of just listening and trying to discern with your head. Your gut's going to know the truth. Your intuition almost always knows what the truth is. So here's where you don't override your intuition. And if you do override it, it's going to be showing you right in your face. Here, see, you shouldn't have done that. So the themes of Venus, who am I putting my energy to? Into what am I putting energy to? Where am I putting my energy? These are the things that you're going to be reviewing while it's in retrograde. And you're going to be looking at the shadow sides of things, your shadow side of your relationship, the dark sides, the things you don't want to look at. Okay? That's everybody. All right. Mars right now is in Aquarius. Again, it's action for humanity. It'll go into Pisces on the 14th of May. So then it's getting very spiritual. So the planet taking action, when it moves into the slippery fish, Pisces is a slippery fish. So again, in May, there's not going to be forward motion when Mars is in Pisces. Mars is in Pisces is time to do what? Contemplate spiritual things, get downloads, go within, do inner work. It's not, how do you move fish forward? I mean, it's kind of hard. So, again, when are things going to be moving forward? It doesn't feel like anytime soon. When see all these planets, they're all coming. There's a stage being set. The theme, we're